Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we are looking at the man Jimmy High Roller, the harsh truth about the GOAT debate. Now, if you don't know my stand on the GOAT debate, look, you can say whatever you want. Oh yeah, you're too young. The GOAT is LeBron. Okay, stats show that it's LeBron in several aspects. I don't care about your 6 finals, 6 rings, these Jordan, whatever, but compare the player attributes, LeBron is just more gifted in a lot more aspects of the game. Okay, and I don't even want to hear it. Oh yeah, Jordan has better perimeter defending and he has a better mid-range and he can dunk and bro, whatever, man. Let's just see what he has to say. And yeah.
To get the fresh 14 for the Lakers. LeBron!
Damn. Kevin Love.
Oh my Lord.
That was the other day.
It's never gonna end, is it? LeBron's reign over the NBA. I've just come to the conclusion that LeBron has hacked into the Matrix and has transcended aging. LeBron is in his 19th NBA season and is somehow still one of the best players on the planet.
I don't want to cut him off here, but I don't want to pause the video too much. But that's what I mean. What was Jordan doing in his 19th season? What was he, a bench warmer for the Wizards? Was he averaging 30 points per game? I don't think he was. Bro, LeBron is carrying the Lakers at his age of whatever he is, 45 or something. Bro,
this isn't supposed to happen. 99% of NBA players peak in their mid to late 20s and then slowly regress as they age, eventually becoming a liability to their team and inevitably sailing off into the sunset, washed up and content with their achievements. But not LeBron. The man is fighting his age like he's got a grudge on time itself. And the more he piles up on these mind-bending feats, the more we must ask ourselves the question, and I really hate to do this, but is LeBron the greatest basketball player of all time?
Yes.
And if he isn't, what would he need to do to truly, once and for all, be the GOAT?
If people are saying he isn't now, if I was to say I had to do something as of this point right now, today is Monday, March 28th, 2022. Okay? Last night, as of last night, the Lakers blew a 20-point lead to the Pelicans. And they lost. So they're 10th seed now. I would say if LeBron wins, it's already over. But I'm just saying, just for the sake of the argument, if he gets a ring, one more ring, with this team, bear in mind, Anthony Davis ain't playing. Bro, the guy's injured every week. He is not even on the team anymore. Kendrick Nunn, I saw a post about him the other day. This guy's been on the bench. He hasn't played a minute. Kendrick Nunn, do you know how good of a role player he would be for the Lakers right now? He ain't played a minute. It's just LeBron. So, if he wins a ring or wins MVP, it's already done, like I'm saying. But if he wins one of those, then it's over. Completely over. I don't care that Jordan, that Jordan has more rings. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Chapter 1, we all start somewhere. What is that? Chapters?
About 5 years ago, I uploaded my first basketball-related video onto this channel. The title of that video is LeBron the GOAT.
Ooh.
You can still watch this video today.
I never seen this
since
video.
It's an absolute dog water of a production, I highly recommend you steer clear of it. To summarize the video, I gave 10 reasons why LeBron would retire as the GOAT. Fast forward 5 years and thousands of hours of watching games, collecting data, and gathering context in this sport that we love. I've since changed my ways and realized that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. But my original assessment from 5 years ago hasn't completely changed, because I never said LeBron was the GOAT at the time. I just gave 10 reasons why LeBron would retire as the GOAT. But ever since I dropped that video, I've pretty much avoided the GOAT conversation altogether. I've put a spin on the idea of the greatest players in certain aspects of the game. I've talked about the greatest scorers, I've ranked players using purely numbers, but I've never really broken down who the greatest player is, in my opinion, because I just feel like the topic is a bit redundant. And ESPN already gives you a daily update on the GOAT debate anyways, so no need for me to do it. But I think it's time we actually discuss this, because what LeBron is doing at this point in his career is just absurd. At the moment, there are pretty much 3 different camps on the whole GOAT debate. People who think Michael Jordan is the GOAT, people who think LeBron is the GOAT, and people who are wrong. I'm just joking, of course. But not really. I'd say about 75% of people fall into the MJ's the GOAT category.
I mean, it makes sense why that would be, because he was like sort of the first, no, not like the first, because obviously that was like Wilt, and then before Wilt was Bill Russell, and then, you know, on and so on, whatever. He was then, like, he was the first ones, like, George Mike, nah, not George Mike, I don't even know, man, I don't know what I'm talking about. But basically, like, of course, there's gonna be more favor towards him, because he was like, he came before, and then he was like, he set a bar, like, standing like the elite of the elite. So, like, of course, he would be higher. And, like, a lot of these people, they just aren't open to, like, looking at, you know, I'm not saying they have to change their minds, but I'm just saying they're not even open to viewing LeBron as the GOAT. It will be like, nah, Jordan's the GOAT, that's the end of. I don't care what LeBron does, I don't care, like, literally, they just cut him off. So that's also another reason why this 75% is so high.
About 20% of people fall into the LeBron's the GOAT category, and about 5% fall into the other category. Usually these other fans believe the GOAT is Wilt or Kobe.
Yeah, I forgot Kareem as well. Like, well, I was saying before, like Kareem, who else did I say? Like, Bill Russell, but I don't know why it's not. Like, Bill Russell, I don't know why it's not viewed as one of these. Like, he should be part of it.
Kareem, there's not many of them, but boy, will they die on that hill. See, the thing here is that a lot of the fans in MJ's corner believe that he is and will forever be the GOAT.
Yeah.
But realistically, is there anything LeBron can do to surpass him? I mean, there's got to be some sort of objective metric we can use to distinguish the greatest player of all time. No opinions, no bias, just the facts. If LeBron somehow won 4 more championships and retired with 8 rings, he'd undoubtedly be the GOAT, right? So there are paths for him to become the greatest ever. But where does that threshold lie, and what would LeBron have to achieve to get there?
Chapter 2, basic stats of casual fans' best friend.
First, let's just take a look at the basic numbers. Between Michael and LeBron has more career points.
I mean, yeah, okay, I'm gonna just say this. Stats often are misleading. Like, sometimes you might look at stats and they might not show the full story. Now, like, yes, stats are good, but you need to be careful at how you look at them, because they can be taken out of context easily. Like, obviously, like, here, like, you can't really, like, this is just a comparison, like, yeah. But at the same time, you need to look at the bigger facts. So, like, obviously, like, without here, just looking at this screen, you don't see how many seasons they've both played. You don't see how many minutes they've both played. Obviously, you need to factor in the teammates they had, and just stuff like that. So there's a lot more to the story than just looking at the basic stats right here.
Rebounds, assists, block.
But yeah, if it's just stat-wise, LeBron sweeps. Apart from, like, what? MVPs and rings and
more triple doubles,
but
higher
yeah, again,
field goal percentage,
like I said,
and a higher
really
3-point percentage. And Michael has more steals and a higher free throw percentage. But this whole argument, the career totals argument, is only useful in demonstrating LeBron's longevity and sustained excellence. These numbers don't prove that LeBron's a better scorer, or rebounder, or defender, or shooter than Jordan. They just prove that LeBron's been good at these things for a very, very long time. These numbers also show just how versatile LeBron is, possibly his most valuable asset. So instead of looking at career totals, let's look at career averages. Michael averages more points and more steals, and LeBron averages more assists and more rebounds. And as much as it pains me to say this, this is usually where the argument for the GOAT ends for most people. Throw in a required comment about their finals records and you pretty much have a condensed version of most GOAT debates. But there is so much more to unpack here. So let's unpack it.
Advanced stats, this channel's best friend. Ooh.
So y'all know how much I like advanced stats. They don't tell the full story, but if you know which ones to look for, you can discover some nuances in a player's game that you won't get by just watching them play. Player efficiency rating, win shares per 48, offensive box plus minus, defensive box plus minus, value over replacement, and true shooting percentage.
WS40 win shares per 48. I don't really know what that means.
These 6 advanced stats give us efficiency, production, like, value, impact, and pretty much everything in between. And in these 6 advanced statistics, Michael Jordan exceeds LeBron in 5 of them. He's more efficient overall. He contributes to more wins. He contributes to more points. He's better on defense, and he is generally more valuable on the court than LeBron is. The only advanced stat where LeBron tops Jordan is true shooting percentage. Now, in terms of who's a better basketball player, nearly every metric points to Michael Jordan. But really take a look at these numbers, and it's actually uncanny just how close LeBron is to MJ across the board. Just a fraction behind Jordan in pretty much everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah. But now, when you look at, like, how many, this isn't just, like, on the same amount of games, it's just over, like, a longer time. Like, LeBron has played longer. So, that obviously, like, his stats are gonna be a lot more, just, like, because they're gonna be harder to, like, go up and go down and stuff, just because there's a high amount of things that need to go in. But, wow, looking at these stats, like, yeah, they're close, but, like, yeah.
But these numbers aren't even addressing who's greater, because that conversation would involve accolades and accomplishments and impact on the game. Take away the rings, the influence, the intangibles, the opinions, and it's virtually objectively true that Michael was a better basketball player than LeBron. But the GOAT debate isn't necessarily about who is the better player. It's about who is the greatest player.
I mean, even though the stats that we're always talking about here show that, like, Jordan was even just by these stats, the better player, I would beg to differ, because, like, rebounding, like, yeah, it says Jordan has more, like, better rebounds. Come on now, let's be honest. LeBron's 6'9", the size that he is, his athleticism is better at rebounding. That's just, like, common sense. Blocks, like defensively, like, LeBron over defensively, in my opinion, is just way better, apart from, like, perimeter, steals, and maybe a few other things. But, like, I mean, yeah, it's just, I guess, like, yeah.
We've got some more unpacking to do.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Michael Jordan.
Now,
probably,
we cannot have a thorough GOAT debate without discussing the accomplishments of each player. Numbers are cool and they have their purpose, but numbers alone aren't indicative of greatness. They're just a vehicle to greatness. This is why, despite James Harden spending half a decade piling up some of the greatest scoring numbers in NBA history, most people don't consider him greater than some players with far lesser offensive numbers. The numbers complement the accolades, not the other way around. This is also why I consider Wilt Chamberlain to have been a better basketball player than Bill Russell, but Bill Russell was greater than Wilt. Wilt achieved his greatness through his numbers, whereas Russell achieved his greatness by contributing to an unrelenting style of winning basketball. So let's take a look at the accomplishments of both Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Now, there are plenty of other awards a player can earn in the NBA, but these are the ones that really stand out on a player's resume.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Awards and accomplishments, awards-wise, Jordan will sweep. I'm gonna be honest, that's just true. He has more championships, more finals MVPs, more defensive players, and more all-defense. Not more all-NBA, I don't think, but...
Championships, finals MVPs, regular season MVPs, defensive player of the year, all NBA selections, and all defensive team selections. And amongst these 6 categories, Jordan beats LeBron in 5 of them. And Michael accomplished all of this in just 15 seasons to LeBron's full 18 seasons. The only category where LeBron outperformed Michael is in all NBA selections. And most will argue that, again, this is an accomplishment of longevity more than anything else, which, at this point, seems to be the overall theme in the GOAT debate. Up to this point in his career, the majority of fans will agree that LeBron has been a step below Jordan in terms of greatness. So now the race to become the GOAT has become a marathon, because eventually the sheer volume of LeBron's career numbers and achievements may become so overwhelming that we'll have no choice but to concede that he is in fact the greatest player of all time. Which brings us to a real dilemma in this age-old debate.
Chapter 5, so you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, of course.
The flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long. A great quote by the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu regarding the idea of excellence and the sustainability of it. Almost as if you can have longevity or be exceptional, but you can't have both. Now, in the world of basketball and sports in general, usually being exceptional translates to longevity and vice versa. Michael Jordan was excellent for 13 seasons in the NBA. His flame was violently bright and had burned for quite some time. But what if there was a flame that burned about 95% as bright and lasted much, much longer? At a certain point, the radiance of even the brightest flame is outclassed by the flame that just won't quit. Of course, LeBron isn't a flame. He's a 6'9", 250-pound freak of nature in basketball shoes, but his light shines about 95% as bright as Michael Jordan's did, and it's lasting a whole lot longer.
That's true.
When does the
You can't deny
longevity
that.
of LeBron's brilliance simply outmatch the slightly greater but much shorter brilliance of Michael? Because as we've discussed, Mike trumps LeBron in pretty much every single metric other than longevity and overall production. So the real question here is, how much longer will LeBron have to be excellent before the majority agrees that he is greater than Michael was? The man is in his 19th NBA season, and he's leading the NBA in scoring. He's still a top 5 player in the league, and his bag is getting deeper and deeper with every season. Here's a chart of LeBron's total points, assists, and rebound averages throughout each season of his career. Each point on the graph represents the total average of points, assists, and rebounds for every season of his career. So, for example, this season LeBron is putting up 8, 6, and 30 a game, so his total for the season is 44. Now, in the NBA, anything above a total of 40 is exceptional. LeBron's total production has exceeded 40 in 17 different seasons. Now here's Michael's total average points, assists, and rebounds for every season of his career.
Now for the people that can't see, like, let me quickly move my face cam. Yeah, you can see it right here. Jordan sort of had a quicker decline very quickly, whereas LeBron has sort of just been going up and down, and then he sort of went up again, and then, oh.
This is by far the greatest argument in favor of LeBron in the GOAT debate. The man has simply sustained excellence for longer than Mike did. And although the numbers are just a vehicle to greatness, there has got to be a point where the numbers are just too glaring to ignore. LeBron's numbers are getting to that point. But some fans will argue that there were other players that were still really good this late in their career. You mean like Kareem, or Kobe, or Karl Malone? They weren't even close. LeBron's already the only player to be a part of the 30K, 10K.
To move my face cam again. There we go.
10K club. Aside from a freak injury, he'll undoubtedly break Kareem's scoring record. He'll probably play the most seasons in an NBA career. He already has the record for most All-NBA selections, and he's still adding to what is probably the longest career highlight reel with moments like this. If LeBron is still doing this in a couple years, while still putting up All-NBA numbers, I really think it's going to be difficult to say that he's not the greatest player ever.
Chapter 6 never lost.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. While LeBron's legacy is growing as he plays more seasons, Michael's legacy would have been slightly diminished if he played more seasons. Of course, this isn't a matter of fact, but all the evidence points towards this assumption. Michael Jordan retiring after playing just 13 NBA seasons in 1998 was the best thing he could have ever done for his legacy. The Bulls were not going to win another championship, and the backbone of the dynasty he had built had all but vanished by the beginning of the 1999 season. If he had played through that 3-year retirement gap from 1999 to 2001, he would have either stayed with the Bulls and put up huge numbers on a losing team, or signed with a different team and chased rings. Both options being far less illustrious than him going out on top with the team that drafted him. Michael's career was the perfect storm. He was drafted by a franchise that was ready and willing to build around him. He was on a roster that suited his skill sets extremely well, and he and the Bulls peaked right as the dominant teams from the 80s and early 90s like the Lakers, Celtics, and Pistons began to fade away. You could not have written a better career if you tried. On the other hand, despite his success, LeBron really got the short end of the deal many times throughout his career. He spent his first 7 seasons in the NBA playing for a team that could not have cared less about building a coherent team around him. He spent 4 straight finals going toe-to-toe with the most dominant dynasty in modern NBA history outside of Jordan's Bulls.
I mean, like you said, outside of Jordan's Bulls, bro, if that Golden State team had to play the Bulls, bro, they're sweeping. Not sweeping, but like, bro, they're winning. Easy. They're going to win 4-2. Easy. Easy. Because how, like, you're telling me you're going to have prime I guess you could say KD, but like KD right now is playing amazing. But basically, at top of his game, KD peak, almost peak. If if you are considering that as peak, or maybe this year's peak, I don't know. Curry, healthy Clay, bro. You still had bro. Draymond isn't a bad player. Like, he's not bad. He was essential to that Warriors team, bro. That team would beat the Bulls in the best of 7 series.
While Michael was surrounded by players who were
100%.
all willing to buy into their system, LeBron has spent many years carrying the load of bad rosters and seemingly incompetent teammates. Part of which is his own fault for trying to play GM and putting together piss-poor rosters. And I bring up these small nuances because the GOAT debate is very nuanced. As much as people want to act like the whole 6-0 in the finals is the end-all be-all to the discussion, it's just not. If rings were all that mattered, then Bill Russell would be the GOAT.
Exactly.
Oh, but he played a long time ago. That doesn't count. Okay, well then Robert Horry is the GOAT because he has 7 rings to Jordan's 6. Well, yeah, but Horry wasn't the best player on any of those championships. Okay, so is the argument about rings, or is it about being the best player on the court, or a mixture of both? Is a player's performance, despite how masterful it was, all in vain if his team loses? The line becomes less and less clear the deeper you dig. No single metric can be used to determine this debate, and the unpacking of every small minute detail is a necessary burden. But unfortunately, it's a burden that most fans won't bother to take on.
Chapter 7, the not so undisputed GOAT.
At the moment, I personally believe Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I also think he's the best basketball player of all time. But, unlike some fans, I don't think the door has closed on LeBron. I think that if LeBron can continue to dominate the league for a few more seasons and continue to shatter our previous notions of what we thought was possible in a single NBA career, I think that he has a chance to retire as the greatest player of all time. But of course, only time will tell. And fortunately for LeBron, time seems to perpetually be on his side.
Damn. Would you guys think? I personally think like LeBron's already clear as the GOAT. He's already the GOAT. But if you think Jordan's the GOAT, it is what it is. Yeah. Apart from that, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, sub if you're new to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.